80% of the league are free agents. Like, everyone timed their contract. Everybody signed 1-year deals, and everyone timed their contracts to coincide with this new CBA. So literally, there's not even really any teams. There's only like 20% of the league.
Please, ladies and gentlemen, pause whatever you're doing and pay attention to the utter craziness of what was just verified on national television. For weeks, we have been reporting on this WNBA collective negotiation catastrophe. We've discussed the infighting, envy, and greed, but Ramona Shelburne of ESPN recently delivered a bombshell on the Rich Eisen show that reveals the actual degree of instability going on behind the scenes. This is no longer only a labor conflict. There are hostages involved. Currently, 80% of WNBA players are unemployed. That sounds too unbelievable to be real, so let me say it again. Currently, 80% of WNBA professional basketball players are unattached to a team. This was organized by them. In order to put pressure on the owner, they planned a mass contract expiration, which resulted in a situation where the league is literally short on contracted players to host a basketball game. It is a fabricated crisis that is driving the sport to the verge of collapse. Wait until you hear the logistical mess that the WNBPA has purposefully caused if you thought that their posting of Valentine's Day poems was embarrassing. It was completely laid out by Ramona Shelburne. Last season, the Players' Union advised its players to sign 1-year contracts. They advised them to place their own wager. "We are going to cash out at the exact same time as the Caitlin Clark money comes in," they informed them. The issue with playing a game of financial chicken, however, is this. Someone has to swerve eventually. And no one is veering at the moment. In Portland and Toronto, we have 2 brand new expansion teams. How many players are on their rosters, do you know? Nothing. They should be celebrating the rise of women's basketball with an expansion draft, but they are unable to do so due to the lack of a collective bargaining agreement. Players cannot be drafted into an unexistent financial structure. When the salary cap is unknown, you are unable to sign free agents. A WNBA union that is waiting for a higher salary has frozen the league's entire infrastructure. This leads us to the most embarrassing aspect of the entire interview. The WNBA just released their regular season schedule, according to Ramona Shelburne. You may have thought, oh, terrific, when you saw that timetable slip? The season is undoubtedly upon us. Look, on April 25th, the Liberty will play the Fever. Don't be duped. The announcement of the schedule did not indicate any advancement. It was a very desperate act. The league referred to it as a blink by Shelburne. It's also pitiful why they had to blink.
We're getting close here, Rich. I mean, I thought it was interesting the league put out a schedule, because one of the pressure points I had been hearing was literally arena dates. You know how this goes. Like, if you don't have your dates on the schedule, they give them away to some concert. They give them away to some circus that comes to town, or they give them away to anybody else who wants to use the arena. Arenas cannot have open dates. And if you want those open dates, you gotta lock those in. So the league went forward with the idea of let's do the schedule, even though we don't even know who's on what team. And I thought that was a blink.
Have you heard that? To keep the circus from booking their arenas, the WNBA had to issue a fictitious schedule for teams without rosters yet. This isn't anything I made up. The world's top women's basketball league. The league in which, when it comes to arena availability, Caitlin Clark, A.A. Wilson, and Sabrina are actively vying with touring clown acts and monster truck rallies. Additionally, the owners had to hastily issue a schedule in order to keep the lights on in their own buildings because the Players' Union is taking too long to comply with Breanna Stewart and Nika Agum's demands for 30% of the league's overall earnings. On steroids, it's amateur hour. The union desires the same treatment as the NBA. LeBron James isn't traded for the Ringling Brothers by NBA venues, but they do want the private planes and the biggest contracts. This is the result of having more ambition than you can handle. While running a company that is still battling for scraps, the players are asking recognition worth billions of dollars. And that leads us to the room's elephant. The one thing that truly counts in this whole situation. Veteran broadcaster Rich Eisen, who has witnessed every labor issue in the history of contemporary sports, broke through the clutter and brought up the sole reason this league is currently receiving attention.
I don't mean to be flippant, but again, there's a golden goose that's getting more valuable here. And, and stars, I mean, Juju Watkins is going to be healthy. Like, this is rubber meeting the road here.
Rich Eisen, Caitlin Clark, and the Golden Goose all expressed it flawlessly. He is aware that by using their biggest asset to date, the union is engaging in extremely risky behavior. The WNBA players are aggressively working to stifle the Golden Goose as its value increases. Are you aware of how shaky this momentum is? Millions of new people watch this sport thanks to Caitlin Clark. Although she delivered sellout crowds and a huge television deal, those fans are not devoted to the WNBA. They have the players' loyalty. Fans will depart if the WNBPA imposes a lockout and Caitlin Clark isn't hitting logo threes on TV by May. They're going to the NBA playoffs to watch. They're going outside. They'll find another activity to engage in. And it takes a miracle to win back the casual American sports fan once they're gone. The union leadership's entitlements are astounding. They sincerely think the audience will be waiting for them. They believe that the fans will wait patiently by the TV till they have resolved their boardroom disputes if the season is postponed to battle over income sharing. That isn't how the entertainment industry operates. There is very little window of cultural relevance. The WNBA is hot right now. However, the product becomes cold if the factory is shut down. Nevertheless, veterans who have been in the league for 10 years and have never made any money claim to the media that they are the ones who developed the sport. They are utilizing their 80% free agency stunt to keep Caitlin Clark's second season hostage because they are so consumed by greed and jealousy. Since time is passing more quickly than anyone cares to acknowledge, let's examine the timeline. According to Ramona Shelburne, now is not the pressure point. March is the pressure point. Right now, March is looming large above us. In only a few weeks, the league will have to determine the pay cap, hold an expansion draft for 2 complete cities, negotiate contracts for 80% of its players, hold the collegiate draft, and start training camps. That is a few weeks' worth of front office effort compressed into months. At this stage, it is physically impossible to accomplish this smoothly. The mayhem that will break out in free agency, even if they sign a contract tomorrow, will be unprecedented. On the same day, there will be 100 players vying for squad positions. General managers will be rushing to establish rapport with players they only met a day before training camp. The union's desire to play hardball in February will negatively impact the product on the floor in May. Furthermore, who is in charge of this clown show? Ramona notes that Nafi Kali, Brianna Stewart, and Nneka Aguam are in charge of navigating the ship. These are well-known, affluent celebrities. They have money from abroad. They have endorsement agreements. Their income is supplemented by the league, which is unmatched. They are able to forego a salary. They have enough money to wait a month. What about the rookie who is attempting to join the team? What about the bubble player whose WNBA minimum contract provides all of their yearly income? The financial realities of their own rank and file members are completely unrelated to the union's leadership. They are using other people's chips to play a billionaire's game of poker. Adam Silver notices. We discussed his last-minute warning. Silver is aware that the union's leadership is taking things too far. He is aware that the golden goose will die if this is not completed by March. Disney, Amazon, and NBC are not willing to spend billions of dollars on a league that cannot even ensure that its players will show up for work. These networks have provisions in their contracts to renegotiate or to cease operations completely if the union forces this to turn into a lockout. The players are about to drop the pie on the floor, but they believe they are battling for a larger slice of the pie. This whole circumstance is a perfect example of how to sabotage something positive. Caitlin Clark was the lottery ticket of a lifetime for the WNBA. They only needed to cash it. They only needed to play basketball, sign a fair collective bargaining agreement, and accept the enormous pay raises the owners had already provided. However, ego got in the way. The concept of playing under a financial structure created by a rookie was too much for the veterans to handle. They ordered 80% of the league to become free agents in order to demonstrate their dominance. The arenas were taken prisoner by them. On national television, they gave the league a laugh. Fans everywhere should brace themselves for the very real chance that the 2026 season may begin later than expected or, worse, not at all. The players' rhetoric is hardening rather than relaxing, and the owners, supported by Adam Silver, will not give in to demands that will force their franchises into bankruptcy. An unstoppable force of greed is colliding with the immovable object of financial reality as we watch. Remember the person who started the fire if this season ends badly. Caitlin Clark wasn't the person. The fans weren't the cause. The union leadership believed they were superior to the game. A group of veterans who put their own pride ahead of the sport's continued existence. The golden egg is waiting to be laid by the golden goose, which is currently sitting there. However, the WNBPA is currently in a precarious position. The blink has taken place. All of the arenas are reserved. It's a phony schedule. There are no teams. Welcome to the WNBA's 11th hour, where nothing but complete and utter catastrophe is inevitable at this time.